everyone, this is the movie Maniac, and today we are talking about the latest horror film to hit theaters, Child's Play. The plot to this film is nearly identical to the original. It's about a kid named Andy Barclay who lives alone with his single mother, played by Aubrey Plaza. She gifts him a buddy doll, and instead of the doll being possessed by a serial killer named Charles Lee Ray, this time it's an AI toy that goes absolutely off the rails. Now, I just want to say that I think the original Child's Play film is a great horror movie. It's gritty, it's serious, and it ends up establishing the iconic killer doll that we all know today. I'm a huge fan of these classic slasher icons like Chucky, Jason, Freddy, Michael, Leatherface, Ghostface. This movie had me hooked from beginning to end. I never got bored or drifted off, wishing for the film to wrap itself up. It was a 90-minute runtime, and it makes the absolute most of those 90 minutes. The gore in this movie is pretty extreme, and you might even see some people in the audience look away real quick, and I say that in a complimentary way because that's what this film is going for. I appreciated the lighting in this movie because it makes it super clear to you the entire duration that you are watching a horror film. It made really good use of its color choices, when to ramp it up, when to pull it back, and as a fan of these horror movies, I really enjoyed that. I thought Aubrey Plaza fit right at home here. You know, one thing I really like about her is that she doesn't feel like some big shot Hollywood actress trying to play your everyday woman. She feels like a genuine person. It doesn't seem like you're watching someone try and play a character. If she ever wants to do more movies like this one, I think she'll have an easy transition into doing so. Mark Hammil voices Chucky in this movie, and that's a big thing to take on because Brad Dourif's voice is so memorable as this killer doll, and Mark Hamill coming in to fill those shoes, I think did as good of a job as anyone possibly could. And I know some were saying that they could not shake it and that they just kept seeing Mark Hamill whenever they would hear it, and I didn't really have that problem. I mean, I thought of it from time to time, but really I just saw a new version of Chucky. There's a lot of dark humor in this movie, so much that it skates right up to the line of becoming a comedy film. Now, I am not exaggerating when I say that, and these jokes are deliberate because when they set them up, the audience laughs on cue. While I am a big fan of comedic relief, I think there becomes a point where you use too much of it, and then when you want to try and really scare us because you're making a horror film, doesn't hit quite as hard because we've been laughing and smiling, and my whole theater was laughing right when they needed to be. I was cracking a smile and laughing pretty consistently as well, and it wants you to, and it is pretty effective when we're talking about that. When it comes to the scares, there aren't quite as many as I would expect from this film, but there still are moments of tension and suspense, so don't get me wrong, it's still there, but I think that maybe they pushed the comedy angle a little too far. Now, the idea of Chucky being an AI is pretty intriguing because he can begin connecting to these wireless devices, which kind of happens in the final act of the movie. For the first act or two, it's not really there. The problem with making him AI is that now you have all these rules to follow, where if he's just a killer doll that's possessed by a murderer, you know, you can kind of make it pretty straightforward, where there actually do become some plot holes and logical gaps in this remake, especially near the end. Part of me believes that maybe this should have been a sequel/reboot. For those of you who need a quick refresher, I know most of you already know, a reboot/sequel would be Jurassic World. That's a film that basically takes the original plot, revamps it, makes it a little bigger so it can introduce it to a younger audience that possibly hasn't seen the original, but it also is a part 4 in the series. So it's building on that. It's rebooting it, but it's a sequel. An example of a remake would be Ghostbusters 2016. It does not acknowledge anything that came before. It wipes it away. It's doing it completely from scratch, using some of the source material from the original, and that's what Child's Play is. I just can't help but wonder if you could have taken this AI concept but also made it a reboot/sequel, brought Brad Dourif back. Don't ask me how it would work, but I just kind of can't help but ask that question. Would this have worked better? I don't have an answer, but I think it's an interesting thing to ponder. I don't believe this is one of those remakes that the horror community is going to completely throw out and wish never happened. I personally feel like it's going to be one of those films where people are going to enjoy it, but they're going to just question whether or not a remake was ever necessary. Two of the more successful and well-accepted ones were Friday the 13th from 2009 and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003. I don't hear a ton of people saying they shouldn't have done that because they actually turned out pretty well. So the question is, will Child's Play be remembered as a successful remake? This is an enjoyable movie, though far from perfect. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think if you're a big fan of these slasher icons like I am, it's probably worth seeing in the theater. If you're more of just a casual association with them, this is going to work best as a rental. So what did you all think of Child's Play 2019? I mean, I know that there's a lot of different takes that people have on this. Some people love it, some people are really not into it, and then some are kind of in the middle like I am. I actually think that this is a movie that I could watch again. It does have some replay value. Guys, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay inside the mind of a movie maniac.